Fred Durhal, F-R-E-D, D-U-R-H-A-L, running for mayor of the city of Detroit. Yeah, so for me to know me is that I have a love for people, a love of serving people. I am first a husband, a father of two wonderful children as well, but a son of the city. Where that started for me is a very, very long time ago. My father, who has been in politics now for over 40 to 50 years, I think close to 50 years, got us started at an early age, just tagging us along here in the city of Detroit. Had the opportunity to sit at the feet of some of the greats like Coleman Young, John Conyers, a lot of amazing people. And I think that really propelled me into service. My mother, who worked for a Head Start, started out as a cook and eventually became a teacher, then a director of Head Starts in another state, showed our connectivity to service again, but also to the youth. But I tell a lot of folks when we talk about our political career, as far as the Durhals are concerned, a lot of folks think it comes from my grandfather because I'm the third and my dad's a junior. But it actually came from my grandmother, who was a PTA president and a block club president. So started very early here in the city of Detroit, and that's something that has shaped and molded me into public service, and I'm dedicating my life to it. Yeah, I think my vision for the city of Detroit is just to continue its growth. How my vision aligns with it is continuing to be that bridge builder. I've had the opportunity to serve in the state legislature as a state representative, served 2 terms. First term as the Assistant Democratic Leader of the House, second term as the ranking Dem on House appropriations over the budget. We were still able to get things done. I served those terms in the minority in a Republican government, the entire government, and we were still able to deliver for Detroit. So I'm someone who likes to bridge gaps in the best interest of our residents. But my vision aligns by creating safer neighborhoods, creating vibrant commercial corridors where folks have access to resources like fresh groceries. They have access to a pharmacy that's within 10 minutes of their home, and just walkable neighborhoods. But my vision for the city of Detroit is one that continues to grow. We are the phoenix that has risen from the ashes. We just want to make sure it doesn't fly into the window. So we've got to have experienced leadership for continued growth here in the city of Detroit. Yeah, I think one of the single most pressing issues, obviously, is the wealth gap and poverty. And there are things that are connected to that, whether we're talking about a high rate of property taxes here in the city of Detroit for a lot of our homeowners here who still struggle to pay their property taxes, whether we're talking about opportunity for folks to get access to jobs so they can come back to the neighborhoods and pay their rent, pay their mortgages, and whether we talk about just the opportunity relative to schools and the education gap. I think all of that feeds into poverty. All of that feeds into barriers to generational wealth. And so as we are pushing this campaign forward, we want to bridge that gap. We want Detroiters to do better. We named our campaign Fred Durhal for every Detroiter because I truly believe Detroit is a place for everyone if we create that opportunity and eliminate some of the barriers that exist. But doing that, we've got to continue to grow the city. We've got to continue to develop the city. And that's how you build opportunity, right? A lot of folks moved down here from down south because there was opportunity for jobs. And out of that, folks worked on the factory lines, but some folks also became small business owners or entrepreneurs. We have flower shops, we have shoe shops, even folks owning gas stations. We're going to bring that opportunity back here to the city of Detroit when I'm mayor. Yeah, so I think one of the first things that we're going to do in the first 30 days, again, is push our plan. We've got a comprehensive property tax relief plan that we are working on now with some economists. And we're getting the ball rolling as we speak. We're not going to wait till day one when we're sworn in. We're putting those things into place right now. And in order to be able to achieve that, what that's going to take is having a great relationship in the state legislature. I'm the only candidate in this race who can say that they have served in the state legislature, in state government, and now on the Detroit City Council. So those relationships have already been fostered. We already have the institutional knowledge from Lansing, so we can hit the ground on day one running. And we're going to put those things into place as far as legislation and pushing our plan forward. So when we get there in those first 30 days, we'll roll out our comprehensive tax relief plan and get it on the books. But I think the second thing that we're also going to do is going to be relative to being and sitting down with the Detroit City Council and talk about budget priorities, right? We're in the budget session right now as we speak. How are our programs really effective here in the city of Detroit? So we're going to take a look at efficiency, efficacy, and make sure that these programs that are supposed to be serving our residents are really helping them in the ways that they need. Huge on public safety. I'll tell folks we've made some significant strides here in the city of Detroit. We have some of the lowest homicide rates and fatal and non-fatal shooting rates in over 30 years. But I always tell folks, one, statistics are one thing. First of all, one homicide is one homicide too many. We need to make sure that we can continue to drop those numbers. Those are people's lives that are attached to those numbers that we talk about. Those are people's families, and they're somebody's brother or sister or mother or father or cousin. So we want to continue to drive those rates down of shootings, fatal and non-fatal, and our homicide rate down. I chair the gun violence task force now for the city of Detroit, and was very instrumental, as you heard Mayor Duggan allude to the other night at the State of the City address, in the Shot Stoppers program, a $10 million program that brings our community violence intervention groups and puts them into the community to ensure that we are also having a holistic approach when we talk about addressing gun violence and safety here in our community. So we'll continue to push programs like that forward and increase funding for it. We're also going to be working on establishing an Office of Violence Prevention here in the city of Detroit, as well as working with DPD to deploy a trauma team. We talk about violence all the time, but we never really address the trauma that comes from it, from the victim side, but also the perpetrator side with their families. And so we've got to address that trauma in a holistic way. And again, I say safety is just about how you feel. You're only as safe as you feel. If I can't feel safe with my wife going to a gas station at 5 p.m. In the evening, that lets me know we've got a lot of work to do, as well as auto theft and a lot of other crimes that you see on these Ring cameras nowadays. We've got to be more aggressive on public safety. They say if you build it, they will come, right? So we've got to continue to push for more development and more jobs. And one of the ways we'll look to do that is through the hospitality area. When we talk about what kind of developments, creates a lot of jobs, hospitality jobs, if you look at any city or municipality that's huge around the country, allows opportunity for local residents to get into those jobs, right? So we'll be pushing for more hospitality jobs, building more hotels, but also industry is important. We've got to become a more diverse city when we talk about what type of industries we have here. So we'll be looking at tech, we'll be looking at mobility, we'll be looking at bringing some of those developments here, developers as well as some of those companies here to be able to employ our residents. But I also think we've got to do one thing that nobody really talks about. We've got to train our workforce, and it's got to start at an early age. Education is that component. We've got to get with our students early, and we've got to work to build the pathway that leads to colleges and careers and not cages and caskets here in the city of Detroit. And the way to do that is talk to folks at an early age, talk to our students at an early age, and provide and create metrics of how we're doing in their growth and development. I had an opportunity in the state legislature when I was sitting there to be over corrections. And one of the things that we learned here in the city of Detroit, that most folks that come in contact with our criminal justice system don't read above a third grade reading level or do not have a high school diploma or a GED equivalent. We've got to do a better job as a city government connecting with our school systems here, bridging that gap, fostering those relationships, and having an ecosystem that provides a successful path for all of our residents. Yeah, we're already doing it now. I just sponsored the pilot fast track ordinance here in the city of Detroit, which is slated to create 1,400 new affordable housing units per year while locking developers into 15 years of compliance and 15 years of affordability. And so you have to build a system and utilize some of the tools that we have to, one, incentivize developers more to create more affordable housing here in the city of Detroit. And so with this pilot program and locking folks in, we also gave developers the opportunity to renew it for another 15 years of affordability while remaining 15 years again compliant. To be able to stop the abatement cliff. I think a lot of times what we see here in the city of Detroit is when those incentives expire, those rates go up to market rate. And that's where you see displacement. That's when you see, the rising of rents here in the city of Detroit. So if we utilize some of our tools to lock developers into affordability, we can create more affordable housing here throughout the city of Detroit. But we also need housing for other incomes to be able to stabilize the market. So we've got to push for workforce housing, folks who go to work every single day. We have what we call in this city the missing middle, right? Those are folks who make too much to qualify for some of the programs and subsidies that we provide here in the city of Detroit, but still don't make enough to feel like that they're getting by. And we've got to address those folks as well when we talk about repopulating our neighborhoods. But we just don't want to talk about affordable housing when it comes to rents. We've got to create a path to home ownership here in the city of Detroit. When we talk about addressing generational wealth, you don't get wealthy or you don't get rich by just working every day and saving your money. The way to wealth leads to owning property here in the city of Detroit. And we want our residents to be able to own properties. That's how we'll repopulate our neighborhoods. That's how we'll create generational wealth where folks can pass that property on to the next generation. It's that old saying about the 40 acres and the mule. The 40 acres was really important because it allowed the opportunity for generational wealth for folks to have and own land and pass that on. And the mule was just meant to keep the lights on. Right? So we got to have those good jobs to keep the lights on, but we got to have those 40 acres in concept to make sure that our residents are creating or having a path to generational wealth. Yeah, I mean, I would say, integrity is important. Keeping some of our historic landmarks are definitely important. In some ways, though, because of the state that we have been in, going through bankruptcy, one of the largest municipal bankruptcies in U.S. history, going through some tough times here in the city of Detroit, a lot of our historical structures, frankly, are past the point where we can rehab them. And when that happens, unfortunately, we've got to tear them down and provide more productive uses for them and bring new life to them. But the historical significance, what we can preserve, I think we preserve definitely to ensure that our identity still remains here as a strong city. But we've also got to look at new ways and new avenues to brighten up our neighborhoods, to brighten up our commercial corridors. I always use the example. At one time when I used to watch TV, we had analog. And when the signal wasn't working right, we had to get the aluminum foil on the bunny ears to make sure that we could watch it. And then came digital TV. At one time, they had a telephone that you had to do the rotary dial, right? And now everybody's running around with a cell phone. And so, yes, we can hold on to things with our hearts, but we have to utilize our minds to be able to push forward and create a city that is also futuristic, that maintains some of our historical and a lot of our historical, should I say, significance, but find a way to blend it together. And I think we'll have that opportunity to do that. Yeah, on day one, I go talk to the superintendent. We've got, Dr. Vitti, who I think has done a good job. But I think we can move the needle a little bit more. We go talk to the members of the Board of Education who live here in the city of Detroit, some of them for a very long time, who are lifelong Detroiters, and some who have even served in the legislature, right? We talk to them about realistic approaches for our district. But we also need to go to Lansing and we need to talk to folks about funding. When I sat in Lansing, as a member of the House Appropriations Committee and the minority vice chair, the ranking member, we always fought for dollars for education, particularly our per pupil allocation and working to change the funding and the formula. Our students at that time when I served were receiving about $7,800 per year per pupil. while we incarcerated one individual for $37,500 per year per prisoner, right? And that's just 3 hots in a cot, by the way. But it shows you what we invest in. We need to invest in our students more. We need to put more money into those classrooms. But we also need to realize with the literacy rates, as you mentioned, that's a cyclical thing, right? We have been underperforming in our school system for quite some time. So if folks graduate and get a diploma and maybe go off, but they're still reading at a 3rd grade reading level, they're helping their children and they're still struggling. And so we've got to take a holistic approach, but we have to wrap our arms around that issue, right? And state that there are some folks that need help with wraparound services as well. That's why our school district's a little bit different. It's more challenged than a lot of other areas. You may look at areas in the suburbs. The average household income is close to $100,000 to $150,000, where here in the city of Detroit is below $35,000, right? And so it's kind of hard for a kid to learn and a parent to provide support when you have to worry about paying the rent, when you have to worry about paying the bills, and it becomes a different environment. But we'll connect with those school districts, bridge that gap. We'll create educational programs, workforce training programs, but have some really tough talks and let folks know that education is going to be at the forefront a lot of our policy making and how we move our city forward. Yeah, experience. Again, there's nobody in this race who has served on the state level of government and now on the city level. I served in the Michigan legislature, not just as a state representative, but in House leadership as the assistant Democratic leader, and had to work with members of our Democratic caucus, but also work with members of the Republican caucus to still be able to deliver for Detroit. And we did. We delivered over $1 billion in resources for revenue sharing, which goes to police, fire, EMS, for programs like DAPSEP, or the Detroit Area Pre-College Engineering Program for our youth, for Flip the Script, a program that is designed to derail the pipeline to prison, for Meals on Wheels programs for our seniors, and I can go on and on. And that's what we did on the state level. And then we also worked for the Michigan State Housing Development Authority for 2 years as well. So we're very versed in housing and have that experience in housing as I've traveled across the state, looking and identifying, knowing some of the needs that our city is going to have related to affordable housing, related to low income housing, related to a path to home ownership. So we've got that experience there. And on council, I chair the Budget, Finance, and Audit Standing Committee, and I'm the vice chair of the Planning and Economic Development Committee. So a lot of these developments that have come through, and I've been very supportive of and unapologetic about development, we'll be able to keep that going because we build and we foster strong relationships here, and we bridge and bring people together. And so that experience is going to be that. But I also say I'm very pragmatic, and I'm also probably one of the only candidates now in this race that has small children. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running as well, because I want to build the type of Detroit that when my kids go off to college, or if they choose a skilled trades career, let me say that, that this is a place that they can live. This is a place that they can feel safe. This is a place that they can feel that is exciting, right? And we want to create a better Detroit for all families here. Detroit has to be a family-friendly place, and we got to get back to that. And so a lot of my decisions, at the core of my decision-making, is my family and other people's family. What I want for my family, I want for other families. Well, I'll tell you, one of the best lessons that I've ever learned here is overnight is an eternity in politics. That was one of the things my dad would always say to me. You can go to bed one night and things are one way, and you wake up and things are different. And so for me here in the city of Detroit, relative to policy and public service, we also want to provide a level of predictability when it comes to doing business here in the city of Detroit, a level of predictability when we talk about the services that we are going to provide for our residents. And that's going to help eliminate the apathy that exists. We have a lot of residents who are apathetic here. Even though our city's growing, folks feel, is my city working for me? Does my city care about me? And in order to eliminate the apathy, you have to basically deliver predictability, showing folks that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and they can trust you to do what you say you're going to do. Trust is a huge component of a relationship, right? And the type of relationships that we're going to build when I'm mayor is one of trust, but we're also going to build a relationship of accessibility. Anyone who knows me, I am a very accessible guy. In my district, all my residents that I come in contact with have my cell phone number. That is going to be a lot more difficult to do as mayor of the city of Detroit, but we still want to provide that level of accessibility. And just because you serve as a mayor or as a city council member or whatever elected office, you're still a regular person at the end of the day. You're still a father. You're still a husband, you know, at the end of the day. And you've got to take that into account in your decision making when you're pushing policies forward. Yeah, I mean, our administration first is going to have a diverse level of talent right here in the city of Detroit. We've got some really great young folks now who are bright and rising stars that we want to be able to have them in our administration. We've got some folks who know and have institutional knowledge, because you need both, right? You need somebody who knows where the bathrooms are, as well, as they would say. But you need folks who are Black, you need white, you know, you need a diverse group of individuals that bring different perspectives here in the city of Detroit to create the city that we want to see. There's no secret that the city of Detroit is predominantly Black or African American, and it's going to stay that way for a very long time. But we've also got to get out of our own way in some ways. And what I mean when I say that is that we've got to work to embrace each other. I don't look at differences as something that divides us. I look at differences as something that is an opportunity to bring us together here in the city of Detroit. We do want our folks here, though, folks who have stuck and stayed through the tough times here in the city of Detroit, when it wasn't fashionable to say that you're a Detroiter. When you traveled to other cities and folks said, "You're from Detroit, is it safe?" Right? Those folks who got those tough questions and still stuck and stayed and fought in the city, still paid taxes here when nobody was picking up the trash, when you called the cops and they didn't come. We still want to make sure that they are getting everything that they need and even getting ahead in some cases. And so we'll create a city that is for everyone and for every Detroiter, but we'll make sure that we are taking care of the folks who really have been here. And I think that's a concern when we talk about who the next mayor is going to be. Folks are concerned, are we going to have a mayor that is going to focus on downtown and focus on the neighborhoods? And I think Mayor Duggan has done a significant job of doing both. I do think we can go a lot further. And the way that we go a lot further is in some plans that we have, so folks feel it more in the neighborhoods. We want to fix those commercial corridors that are around them. So just what you see downtown when we talk about development, you see that in your neighborhood a block away from where you live. And you don't even have to hop in your car, but you're walking down the street in a walkable neighborhood that's clean, that's safe, and you're going to have dinner five minutes away from where you live, and then you're taking the family and walking right back home. We had the opportunity to do that here as a city, and when I'm mayor, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, public transit is a huge issue here. You'll see some things that I'm working on right now as we're in budget season, putting into the budget to increase DDOT's budget here. We've got to become a better city as it relates to transportation by fixing our infrastructure, by fixing our efficiency, ensuring that our buses are running on time, putting more bus routes here. But we also got to improve the rider experience. And what I mean by that is we've got to put more bus shelters throughout the city of Detroit. If you ride the bus every single day, can you imagine riding in rain, sleet, hail, and snow? Most of us who own cars are blessed and fortunate when we hop in our car that we do not have to go through a lot of those elements. I'm sensitive to it, though, that there are a lot of residents, particularly senior citizens here in the city of Detroit, that still take the bus. We've got to improve that rider experience. So we've got to have more bus shelters, more benches, but we've also got to have better customer service. We've got a lot of amazing drivers here in the city of Detroit, but they're underpaid. Compared to other cities and municipalities of this size, they are underpaid. So we've got to work to increase their pay as well to provide better experience and make it comparable to cities or municipalities, not just in the country, but around our state, right? And I think that improves the customer service experience as it relates, but we've also got to be futuristic. And we've got to look at high-speed rail and regional transit here in the city of Detroit. My wife, who clerked for the DC Circuit and the DC courts, had to stay in the Washington, DC for a year. And I always tell this story. I remember driving her car to her and saying, okay, babe, your car's here. We're going to need you now to drive to work. And she said, I'm not taking my car, I'm taking the Metro. And I said, you know, girl, I drove this car all the way down. You're going to drive this car. And the next day, we get in the car and I take her to work, and it took 1 hour and 45 minutes to get her to work, and she was only 30 minutes away. And after a couple of days of trying to nudge her to drive that car, I said, well, let's see what this Metro thing is all about. And we hopped on the Metro, and it was clean, it was safe, it was secure, and she got there fast. And then one of the things that I noticed is many other folks were taking public transportation because they have a great public transit system, right? And that's what we've got to do. We've got to connect our communities through transit, through regional transit. I think that'll allow for a lot more opportunities here in the city. I was very supportive of the solar initiative coming through. I think that's just a step to be able to come more clean, green, and energy efficient. But we'll have tough conversations with heads of industries here of how we lower emission rates, how we ensure that we're becoming more energy efficient from their standpoint, and work in a collaborative way to make sure that we're being good for the environment, but also still being good for business here in the city of Detroit. But I think we've got to look as a city and become more committed to it. And that's just not as a government, and that's just not, council. I've got a lot of great partners on the council, Scott Benson, Member Benson, who has been a champion for energy efficiency, Member Santiago Romero, who has been a champion for clean and green environments here in the city. We've got to become more aware as a city on our approach of how we push that forward. We've taken some steps to do that in a couple ordinances, but as mayor, we will sit down with council members as well, talk about policies and initiatives that we want to push forward to ensure that our residents have clean water, have clean air, and have clean neighborhoods that are green. I will say one of the great ways to do it, you look at the Joe Louis Greenway right now, creating green space is a huge way to do that. And I think as we continue to push ideas like that forward, we'll be able to make our neighborhoods and our environment safer and better for our residents. Yeah, we've been, and I don't want to say blessed because we got the dollars because of a pandemic. But we've had, the opportunity to do some amazing things here in the city of Detroit over the past 3 years because we had $827 million in ARPA funding. So a lot of the great programs that you've even heard me mention today came out of ARPA funding. And now as those dollars are all being programmed, we've got to rely more on our general fund to be able to provide programs and services. But I think the way that we do it is we look at efficacy, we look at efficiency. What programs do we have right now that are providing a great benefit for our residents in the city of Detroit? What can we live without? The old adage goes is that we cannot have Cadillac taste and forward money. So we've got to make sure that we are making fiscally prudent decisions here in the city of Detroit when we talk about programming, when we talk about what programs, again, help our residents. So we'll have tough conversations with the council as well, but also build a partnership with the council. It is no secret, and I'm a legislator at heart. That's pretty much been my career in public service. They say that the executive branch proposes the budget and the legislative branch disposes of the budget. But I think if we create that relationship and that partnership at the beginning and say, hey guys, look, this is where we are fiscally. What are some of your priorities? These are some of my priorities. We come together, and that way you don't see infighting on the budget or priorities put into the budget that we possibly couldn't afford because you deal with it off start, right? And so that's one of the ways that we'll do it. But we'll also look at growing our revenues, right? Yes, the city of Detroit has a budget that's over $2 billion, but we've got to continue to grow our revenues here in the city of Detroit. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is lowering property taxes. I know that sounds strange, but if we lower property taxes here in the city of Detroit, we'll also have the opportunity to gain more revenue from property taxes in our net neutral plan in the future. But we've got to get more income tax here as well. So we've got to continue to push and continue to develop here in the city of Detroit so more income tax dollars can flow here throughout the city. But we also got to repopulate our city, right? Detroit was a city that was over 1 million folks in population at one time. And to have a number of folks here, particularly folks who have jobs or have businesses here who pay taxes, will help us increase our revenue. One of the issues with the city of Detroit right now is that our property values are growing, but our tax base is not. And so the problem is the tax base. We've got to repopulate the system, repopulate the city, create more opportunity and more opportunity for revenues to flow here in the city to ensure that we're going to continue to remain sustainable. But we'll make some tough decisions. I say the next mayor is not going to be the most popular mayor in the entire world. You're going to have to say no to a lot of things, and we're firm on saying no. We've also always been fiscally prudent relative to budgets. I did it on the state level when we had a $64 billion budget, and the $2 billion budget is a little bit tighter when you've got a lot of dreams and hopes that you want to have. But we'll do it in a way, and we'll create an approach that's systematic. Rome, as they would say, wasn't built in one day. And so we'll have a strategic plan to continue to push this city forward and grow it, but we'll do it over time. Oh, listen, Detroit is open for business. If you are hearing me, I'll look directly in the camera. Detroit is open for business when it comes to tech and mobility. We've got a tremendous amount of opportunity here. We see it with Black Tech Saturdays and the turnages here in the city of Detroit where they're creating a wave. We see it down at Central Station and a mobility hub down there. Like, we've got to continue to create and grow those opportunities here in the city of Detroit. Not only do they provide jobs, but they provide a much needed resource to our city and its economy. We've got to move into the future. I remember watching those old movies when you were young, and they said by 2020, we're going to have flying cars. We're already in 2020. We don't have flying cars. But we're talking about automation. We're talking about, some of these vehicles that are electric vehicles here. We're talking about AI, right? We're talking about different systems now as we move into the future. And there's an opportunity for all of that to come here from the city of Detroit. Detroit was known as a city where we build things, right? And so whether we're building cars or whether we're building refrigerant systems or whether we're building innovative things for technology and mobility, we got to keep that going, right? And so we are open for business. We are going to invite folks. We're going to sit down with folks like Doug Song from Duo in our tech industry and say, we want you here. We are losing to other cities and municipalities in our region because in some ways we can't get out of our own way. I'll give you an example. In the city of Columbus, where they're building microchips right now, Intel came there because they gave them $2 billion in incentives. And so the state, the city, and the county said, we want those chips built here. Why? Because they create more jobs. More jobs equals more money in folks' pockets they can take back to the neighborhood and pay their rent, pay their mortgage, and support their families. We got to get out of our own way. We've got to be more inviting, and we've got to open up the process. We're going to create an infrastructure for businesses, particularly tech and mobility, where they can thrive. I believe I'll be Detroit's next mayor because we resonate with the people. I tell folks I am a workhorse. not a show horse. Obviously, I got to become better when you're running for mayor, being a better show horse. You got to throw up the billboards, you got to do the Facebook posts and all that great stuff that people want you to do because that's their idea of what a campaign is. But I believe we'll be the next mayor because I'm honest. You know, I've dedicated my life to public service because I saw my dad do it. If you're around me and you go to community meetings, my team literally has to pull me away from people because I love helping people. It's just in my heart, no matter what capacity that I've ever been in. That's what I love. But I believe we'll be the next mayor because as we touch people and we go around this city and we have an opportunity to connect with them, they'll see that honesty. They'll see that dedication that not only myself, but my family has put into this city over decades. And I think they will embrace that. I think they'll embrace it over a lot of the noise and the narrative of who folks think are first. Let me tell you, when I'm sitting in a living room of folks right now as we're traveling this city, that's not their sentiment. A lot of folks believe that there are a lot of candidates in this race, but they also believe there's an opportunity to connect with candidates. And I think folks don't know that Detroit voters are a lot smarter than they really think. And I don't take them for granted. I can tell you, someone who won a city council race by 59 votes, that every vote counts and you got to go get every single vote. And so that is what we are doing. We are rebuilding that trust. We're resonating with folks and letting them know, as your next mayor, I care about you. I care about this city. I care about my family. And I want this to be a place that we all can invest in, that we all can grow in, that we all can live in, that we all can work in a city that when you mention its name across the nation, but across the world, everybody knows what it is, and we can be proud to know and live here. So I think that's why we're going to be the next mayor. We're experienced as well. You know, we bring that experience to the table. And we're pragmatic. We're not divisive. You know, in this race, you'll have the opportunity to see who really has a plan and who doesn't. I'm not about a lot of the rhetoric. A lot of things sound good, but we build comprehensive solutions and plans that make sense, right? That connect folks here in the city of Detroit. So we're excited in this campaign. You know, I can tell you it's been a ride thus far. But we're looking forward to keeping that train moving and becoming the next mayor of the city of Detroit.
Mr. Durhal, thank you for your time.